Direct från Liverpool, jag heter Pete och det här är Eurovision. Låt oss prata om Melodifestivalen. And you'll be glad to know that there is no more Swedish to be spoken in tonight's reaction video. Apologies to the people of Sweden. I have done a terrible job. Let's talk about the Melodifestivalen that has just gone out on Swedish television over on SVT. Well, I'm only going to talk about the winner because unfortunately I wasn't able to watch much of the contest because my children refused to go to sleep at a reasonable time. So we're going to talk about Loreen and the winning song "Tattoo." Well, it was inevitable, wasn't it? I mean, we have been hanging the gold medal around Loreen's neck for weeks now. I managed to avoid listening to it until tonight to try and get this reaction as good and as raw as we possibly can, as if I can do anything in a raw, emotional way. But so I managed to avoid it for quite a few weeks. And what I got from Twitter was that it was an absolute inevitability that Loreen was going to win, and she did. Again, I write things down on paper. Again, I don't know if the camera shows. My first thought, the first thing I wrote down when I heard it was this: how beautifully filmed was it? It was absolutely wonderful. There was a real cinematic quality to the way the song has been presented. The letterboxing of the camera shot, the use of smoke and the smoke machines, and that giant killer LED prop thing that apparently they won't actually be able to use in Liverpool because it's too heavy for the arena, if the news reports are correct. But it was just a glorious 3 minutes of television to watch. It was sort of put the song to one side. What you saw on stage was absolutely wonderful. And I think the other thing to consider is how well she sang it. I think you can break it down into the visual performance, how she sang it, and the song itself, and we'll talk about all of these things in turn. Just coming back to the visual interpretation of it, there was a bit where in the final where there was so much smoke that you couldn't actually see what was going on, but that cleared very quickly, and I don't think that would be a downside to any performance. I'm just enamored by just how wonderfully shot it was. I can't get over how just sort of powerfully moving that sort of just the visuals, putting the song entirely to one side. The singing, I thought Loreen, particularly in the reprise, I thought she sang wonderfully. A few missed notes in the actual live version before the voting happened, but I think that's to be expected. It is a song that is incredibly testing across the vocal range, and it requires a lot of high bits, low bits, loud bits, quiet bits, and she copes with them really well. It's probably a much harder song to sing than Euphoria, for example, and she copes with it incredibly well. The one thing I picked up on in the performance was that I'm going to sound like someone from musical theatre now, but her T's are not very strong, so you're stuck on me like that tattoo bit, because she's got to get that falsetto bit. Sometimes it was very hard to actually hear the word tattoo, I felt. But again, this is me nitpicking in the interests of padding out time to make this a more fun video for everyone. This isn't fun. No one enjoys this. But yeah, I thought she sang it really, really well. The song, I heard it the first time, like I say, tonight, and having heard so many people talk about it, I was not blown away. And what I mean by that is, when I heard the Netherlands entry, I think I said I had actual sort of goosebumps listening to the Dutch entry this year. I didn't get that response listening to Tattoo the first time. And I probably got a more stronger visceral reaction when I listened to Euphoria than when I listened to Tattoo. But when I heard it again, I got much more. You could actually, I don't know if I was distracted or there were things going on in the house or whatever, but listening to it again with my full focus on the reprise, I do think it's a really well produced song. I still didn't get the shivers that I sometimes get from songs that really bring up. If I listen to Go by Scott Fitzgerald and I listen to that orchestra really doing the string section as he does the chorus, even now, 20 years after first hearing it, I still get a, oh, that's so good type feeling. And I just didn't quite get that with this. Now, is that because loads of people said this is the greatest song that's ever been written? It's going to win. It's going to win the contest. It's going to win the Nobel Prize for music, if there is a Nobel Prize for music. Or is it because of comparisons to Euphoria? Um, I don't know. I think it's a smashing song. I think it's absolutely brilliant, and the again the instrumentation, the use of strings, particularly in the third and final chorus, is really strong. And that middle eight is so quietly set apart from the rest of the song, and then it sort of bleeds back into the third chorus. Uh, yeah, it's so good. It does feel real because you could have done a middle eight that led to a key change, or you could have done a middle eight that sort of where she sang through it. But actually, the middle eight is sort of that they've done is sort of very distinct from the rest of the song. You can almost tell that here is where the middle eight is, but it's still very good. We're always going to make comparisons to Loreen's other efforts. Is it better than Euphoria? No, I don't think it is. Um, because I think that's probably, I know she did the Melodifestivalen one time before that, but most of us would have had Loreen in our consciousness when Euphoria came out, and it's always going to be compared to that. Is it so? It's a very similar song, upbeat dance track, starts quietly, gets louder, has a middle eight that is very quiet before having a very powerful ending. So they're reasonably similar. The strings in the third chorus are very, they're present in Euphoria as well. So they are reasonably similar songs in terms of structure, not in terms of how they sound. They sound very different, although they are both dance tracks. I'm tying myself up in knots here, trying to explain myself. Um, is it better than Statements? Well, Statements is just a completely different song altogether. And it's very hard to compare the two. I will say that this sits between Statements and Euphoria. I think, um, yeah, I think that's probably a fair assessment. And unfortunately, because I'm a bad Euro fan, I've not heard Loreen's first Melodifestivalen entry. Um, there's a bit of concern about the prop that she uses, as in, will it be able to be mounted to the roof of the arena? I don't think it matters. Do you need it? Can you not get just a flat screen telly on some springs and a jack, and just sort of when you want to rise it, just have some backing singers, just sort of pump it up? I don't know. I'm sure they will find a very creative solution to get around it, or they will find a new way of presenting the song. Obviously, often Sweden present the song in the same way at the Melodifestivalen as what they do at the Eurovision Song Contest, so they might not go too differently from what was gone out on television tonight. Um, will it qualify? Absolutely. I mean, you'd be an idiot not to think that this would qualify. Um, yeah, I mean, you've only got to be in the worst 5 or 6 songs in each semi-final to not qualify, and Loreen is not in that category. She will definitely qualify, and she will qualify well. Televoters will definitely get behind this, and jurors will get behind it even more. If the jurors are still voting on things like singing and performance, this will score highly, rather than looking at the overall context of the song, which I believe people were talking about Finland recently, but the jurors' task has changed slightly. But even if you're judging it on the song, it's still a quality song. How will it do in the grand final? Well, that depends a lot on who else qualifies. As I said when I talked about the UK video, the big problem here is that there's a lot of female singers doing dance tracks this year. And you've got the UK, you've got Poland, you've got Sweden, you've got Norway to a slightly lesser extent, you've got Austria to a slightly lesser extent, you've got Israel. Um, this stands out head and shoulders above those female singer dance tracks. And I say that as a UK supporter. So then the question is how will it compete against the other genres of songs that are taking part in the competition? And you can never predict that. I think this will be another top 10 for Sweden. I think it will definitely, well, I'll start that again. It will definitely be a top 10 for Sweden. It will almost certainly be a top 5. And I think we could be looking at Sweden joining Ireland at the top of the scoreboard um, in terms of most victories over the history of the contest. I think it's that good, and that's so weird because like I say, it's it certainly didn't give me the chills, but it's probably is one of the best songs in the contest, almost certainly. Um, but Loreen is one of those people, isn't she? That she could sing a nursery rhyme, and as long as it was well staged, you would still think, well, that's amazing because her singing is excellent, her movement and dance is excellent, and the way SVT would stage Loreen singing "Bar Bar Black Sheep" would would blow us away. I've deviated wildly here into Loreen singing nursery rhymes, but I think that's the point I'm making is that she's an excellent singer with excellent staging and a good song, and that will lift the song regardless. So I think she could really do very well, and I think this is a potential winner. In terms of the obviousness that this was going to win the Melody Fest, I think this was a procession. This was a lap of honor. There were 11 other songs in that competition, and unfortunately, they did not stand a chance. But having heard clips of some of the songs and sat through some of them again, whilst a bit distracted, um, the, the song by the 16-year-old girl. I'm so sorry. The song and the name of the singers escaped me. Was probably the best, second best after that, or maybe the I don't want to say rock song. I'm so old and my memory's gone. But the guitar song, sort of very sort of loud rock song. Rock is not the right word. I'm so sorry. Um, that could have been a surprise package as something different. Apart from that, Sweden has gone very much of a muchness in terms of what's getting into the final of the Melodifestivalen, um, and I think they need to address that. And it's already been commented on before. Look at the songwriters. Look how many times they are appearing throughout the list of 12 songs. How many times does someone called Jimmy or Tommy or Thomas turn up in the list of songwriters? And they're all, Sweden run the risk of it becoming Eurovision by numbers. And they're lucky that a song like Tattoo won it because a lot of the other songs we've seen at the Melody Fest along for many, many years. And, Portugal's up tonight later on, and they will do it so differently. And they get the brief that being diverse is a good thing. Um, so next year's Melody Festival will be very interesting. Will they carry on with the winning formula that they've got, or will they do something differently? Um, as always, like, share, subscribe. If you agree, comment. If you disagree, comment. I've only got 61 subscribers, so who cares what I think anyway? But yeah, this is Pete from Euroversi, direct from Liverpool, the home of the 2023 Eurovision Song Contest. Tack så mycket och varsågod. Also, I just thought I'd ruin the magic of my reaction videos. My microphone doesn't reach the table, so you can't see it on the camera. So at the moment, it is currently being mounted by several of the Stieg Larsson trilogy, just to completely destroy any magic that you thought that this was a well produced piece of video, because it definitely isn't. See you soon.